Funky.
Hello, this is Yolanda Murphy, and welcome to This Exceptional Journey podcast, where you will find inspiration to live courageously through adversity, empowerment to live freely despite your past, and ignition to live boldly in your purpose, all by walking the survivor side of life. Good people. What is up? It is your girl Yolanda Murphy back with another episode of This Exceptional Journey podcast. How y'all been? If this is your first time, welcome. Come on in. Have a good old seat. If this is not your first time, thank you so much for coming back. How you been? Ready for the holidays? I hope so. Because I sure am not, if I'm honest. But either way it goes, guys, thank you so much for clicking over to my little corner of the podcast world and rocking with your girl just for a little while. Before I get into the topic, which you can see is going to be so eventful, I wanted to give you my social media information just so I don't forget at the end. Find me on Facebook and Instagram at This Exceptional Journey. And then on Twitter, I'm at TEJ Podcast. Hashtag me, TEJ Podcast, questions, comments, suggestions. Your girl wants to hear from you. But let's go ahead and get into the topic. As you can tell, I just wanted to get to know you guys. But seriously, so here's the crazy thing. Some of you know me. Some of you know me very well. But then there's like a bunch of people that don't. I've had some like amazing new listeners log in and even on social media, people have been hitting me up and following me that I just don't know at all. So I thought it would be advantageous to kind of put myself out there uncomfortably and just let you guys know a little bit more about me. So, I mean, some of you, hey, what's up? You already know. But for the others of you, let me let you know me. But I mean, I'm new to the podcast scene anyway, so I thought it would be great to get it, out early so people can just be like, who is Yolanda? And you can know exactly who I am, or at least know a little bit more about me. So let's just start with the things that are obvious. If you've listened to previous podcasts, if you've read any of my blogs, if you followed me on social media, you probably know a few of these things I'm going to let you know. But if not, welcome. So as you can tell, I am a female. Hello. Um, at this point, I am a 2.5 year breast cancer survivor. I'm 39, not married, no children. Hello. I'm African American. I live in Pittsburgh, PA. That's like the basic stuff. I mean, like I said, if you've listened or read or looked, you kind of know all that stuff already, right? But what I wanted to get into is a little bit deeper things, unless you know me, you probably wouldn't know. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So, first things first, I just have to let you know a couple of my loves. I am not the person I am without these first couple things. So, first of all, coffee is life. I know I cannot be the only person that thinks coffee just makes the world go round. And here's the kicker, I have loved coffee ever since I was little. Legitimately, anyone can ask my parents. Like, I can remember 5 or 6 years old. And if you're from Pittsburgh, you know about Eaton Park, right? And I don't know, are there Eaton Parks anywhere else in the US? I don't know, but if you're from Pittsburgh, you definitely know about Eaton Park. It's a restaurant, kind of like a family style. Um, Now, as an adult, I would equate it to a step up above hospital cafeteria food. But when I was younger, of course, we used to go there all the time. And my mom and dad are both coffee drinkers, two completely different coffee drinkers. Like my mom is like black with sugar, disgusting. And then my dad is like, give me all the creams and give me all the sugars. And of course, we would go out to eat and I would be like, Dad, can I taste that? And I can vividly remember numerous times, and it wasn't just a sip. It wouldn't. This is so horrible. It wouldn't be a sip though, guys. It would not be like a no. It was guzzle guzzle. He needs another cup of coffee, and I would be like, "Am I supposed to be drinking this? I don't think so." But my parents let me, so I was just a kid. They let me do it. So, I mean, I say all of that to say my love for coffee goes back decades. And here I am in my 30s and just an old cup of joe in the morning. It just gets me right. Like, it's probably almost an addiction. Like, if I don't have my coffee, and to be honest, especially after breast cancer, like after chemo and having radiation, my body is just not, it's not the same. I get very tired very easily. So coffee helps with that. And but it's the real deal, guys. I mean, I am kind of a Starbucks head. Judge me, don't judge me. I just love their blonde Americano with 4 pumps of caramel. No more, no less. And they kind of know me by name. There's a Starbucks in my building where I work. So they're like, oh, hey, girl, how you doing? Oh, you already know I'm down here for my morning and afternoon cup of coffee. Hello. But coffee's just my thing. It's as most adults probably, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing, popcorn, guys. It's serious. Again, this is something that I learned very early that I absolutely love. And I blame my dad. There's a couple things on this list I blame my dad for. I am a daddy's girl. Hey, dad, I love you. Um, Coffee was the first one. Popcorn is definitely the second one. Growing up, we did old school popcorn. We did over the stove with a big pan, butter or oil, whatever you so choose, and you shake that joint. You just shake it, pop, 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 shake it. Put it in a brown paper bag. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know. Put it in a brown paper bag. Put some salt. Close that bag up. Shake it. And here's the kicker. And if you're laughing or you know exactly what I'm talking about, you probably already know what I'm about to say. Sometimes I would let my dad save just a little. He would save me some when I was younger, but I would save a little bit of the little bit he saved me for the next morning. Because when that butter sits in and that salt sits for a little bit, guys, as you can tell, it's an obsession. Listen, anybody who already knows me, you're probably cracking up laughing right now because you already know, like, popcorn really is a thing for me. Like, I just recently had 2 root canals done. I think one at the end of October and then one at the end of November. I had to space them joints out, y'all. I wasn't playing. But I recently had them done and popcorn was not stopping me. And I know if I have any dental peeps out there, you're probably like, oh my gosh. Listen, it's real. The dentist that was doing my work, the very first time she did my first root canal, she was like, nothing chewy, nothing hard, and nothing crunchy. I said, does that include popcorn? Legit, flat out. Does that include popcorn? She was like, I mean, you can try to chew it on the other side. Girlfriend, and here's the thing. I had a root canal done on one side and a root canal done on the other side. I'm still eating popcorn. I'm probably going to make some when I get done recording this now. It is legit. And here's the thing. I don't need the seasonings. They're good. I've had caramel popcorn. Kettle corn is another one of my favorites. But that good old straight off the stove with butter and salt gets me every time. Gets me every time. I don't know. It's just something that I love about it. So popcorn would definitely be something if you ever want to get me a gift for Christmas. I do love that whole try mix, with the caramel, butter, and cheddar. Let me know. I'll give you my Addy. But that's just something else I absolutely love. Wanted to make sure you guys knew about. All right. Next thing, again, I do blame on my father. Dad, I'm sorry. These first three they just made me me. But I love meat. I just love meat. And for you nasty people out there, that's not what I meant, okay? Just joking, guys. But literally, like, I again can remember because my dad is a meat and potatoes guy through and through. And my mom is kind of, I can live without meat. And I remember growing up, and I always gravitated towards my father's plate. Like, oh, you have steak? Oh, you have pork chops? Oh my goodness, I want some. Let my dad tell it growing up. I always used to eat the fat. Now I think it's disgusting. However, I really could just eat chicken for dinner. Give me a chicken breast, give me a fried thigh and wing or leg. I mean, give me some real good baked pork chops. I just like meat. It's so satisfying, and I like carbs. I mean, I like carbs. Um, but just another thing about me, if you ever want to take me to dinner, just know it probably needs to be like a steakhouse. That is so greedy. I'm sorry. It probably needs to be a steakhouse, Texas Roadhouse. We're going. Okay. And here's the bad thing. Here's the crazy thing. I've been to Texas Roadhouse. We literally just got a Texas Roadhouse here in my hometown, in like right outside the city of Pittsburgh, in a city called Monroeville. We got a Texas Roadhouse, which is on the east side of the city. And I've been there, I want to say three times. It's been here, I want to say, since last summer. I don't even think that long, to be honest. They've been working on it for a long time, but if I had to guess, probably it's been here maybe since the fall of last year. It came at some point last year, but anyway, I've been there three times. Um, and the first time I went, I didn't know what to expect because I had never gone. I always, heard the bread was amazing, which, to be honest, I can do without. That's the crazy thing. Like, I can do without bread. I can really do without sweets like pies and cookies and cakes and candy. I mean, I like those things, but I'm a salty person. So I think that's why the meat, like, really lines up with that. But I went to Texas Roadhouse, like I said, the very first time. I really didn't know what to order. So I just got a steak. I figured it's in your name. It should be good. Let's do it. Yeah, but the second time I got a little adventurous, and then the third time I just got the same thing I got the second time. You want to know what that was? I know you were going to ask. So basically, I got the half barbecue chicken, right? I got, broccoli and maybe mashed, I think it was mashed potatoes I got. I got a whole side of catfish. I'm so telling on myself. I got a whole side of catfish. I'm sorry, even when I say it, it's ridiculous. And then I got a side of green beans. Now, green beans, vegetables, but their green beans are fire. Hello. But I just wanted to let you know I got a whole nother side of meat that was so unnecessary because you have a whole half a chicken. Why do you need fish? And here's the other thing, I don't eat it all. Like, I'll pick on the chicken, I'll pick on the fish. I just want to taste everything. And then I have like two more meals for the next 2 days. It worked out, right? Anyway, number three, I am a carnivore at heart. Thanks, Father. I love you dearly. So, the next one has nothing to do with my father. And to be honest, growing up, my dad used to always tease me about it. I am left handed. I remember growing up, I didn't know. I mean, of course, when you're little, you don't know anything about left hand, right hand. You don't know anything about that. But I just remember growing up all the time, and my dad used to say, "Oh, you're wrong handed." Isn't that grimy? Like, isn't that horrible? My dad, "Oh, you're wrong handed." I would be like, "What? Is there something wrong with my hand?" I'm sorry, guys. I'm in a really great mood. Um, but yeah, so I'm left-handed growing up, as you can imagine, for other, lefties that are out there. When you're that minority, like, you don't have scissors to cut with. You don't. Like, I would be in arts and crafts or in art growing up, and they would be like, "Oh, here's some right-handed scissors. What I'm supposed to do with them?" They don't cut. If I can't put right-handed scissors in my left hand, they don't cut. That's the whole point of why they're called right-handed. And then I remember, now of course I'm a child of the 80s, so today everything is all inclusive. Like, anything you are, they got you for everything. Hello. Um, but I remember when we first got left-handed scissors in art in like third or fourth grade, you would have thought like it was the biggest deal ever, to the point where I went up to my teacher and said, "Can you hold these scissors for me when I come back?" Um, because it was such a, I mean, left-handed people, when we write in notebooks, our writing is always smeared. I end up with black ink on my pinky all the time. So I end up, if it's a blank notebook, flipping it the other way and put the binding the other way. It helps a little bit. But these are things, being left handed, you have to do that. Right handed people just don't think about because it's their world. But even now, like I bat right handed, like I used to play softball growing up. I batted right handed. I played basketball in high school and college. I did shoot left handed, but I dribbled right handed. So it's this crazy thing where, like you're this anomaly and people don't know how to teach you besides what they already know, which is right handed. So they taught me how to dribble right handed. They taught me to bat right handed. They taught me to write, even. Like I got a cut on my left hand in elementary school. They were like, oh, just be right handed. Oh, yeah, let me go ahead and turn that on and off. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. But anyway, just another little cool fact about me. It's kind of making sense, isn't it, guys? Like who I am. It's making sense. Next one I wanted to bring up is that I was adopted at 7 months old. Isn't that crazy? So here's the thing. I've always known I was adopted. Always. Like my mom and dad always let me. I was probably at the earliest maybe 6 or 7, maybe 7 or 8, 8 at the oldest. But here's the thing, my mom used to always tell me, "Oh, you're my special baby, you're my special child." And I, of course, like at 4 or 5, I'm like, "Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you saying?" But as I got older, they bought me books and we used to talk about it. So it was never a secret, in our household that I was adopted. Of course, when I was younger, I didn't know what it meant. But as I got older, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But best believe Bunny and Gwen, those are my parents. Those are their nicknames. They are my parents through and through. I just bring that up to say that maybe somewhere in this podcast journey, it may come up again. And I may even have people on the podcast that may just talk about it. So it won't be like a fascination if you wonder why. But yeah, to be honest, like being an adult, especially after breast cancer, and my mom and dad being like my rock and my support, I would have it no other way. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way before, clearly. I mean, they're my parents. Um, but seeing two people who have no DNA connection to a live human being but love them unconditionally as if they were theirs and they gave birth to them completely blows my mind. Going through breast cancer let me see how deep their love ran for me. Not that I didn't know it before, but it's a whole different ballgame when you go through a disease and it's you. That makes sense, right? So yeah, girl, I was adopted. 7 months old. Again, you may hear that story come up later. Don't be surprised or verklempt. All right. Anyway, next one. I actually have a brother who is 10 years younger than me. Legit. Like, and he is the biological child of my mom and dad. How's that work? Like, legit. Like, apparently, from the story I know, like, my mom and dad couldn't conceive when they were trying to have me. They were married for 7 years. They were like, oh my goodness, let's just get a baby because we want to be a whole family. Amen. They found me. I'm grateful. And then 10 years later, my mom pops up like, you're going to have a brother. I was like, what? I was so mad. I was like, I asked you for a brother when I was 5. When I was 5, I asked you for a brother. Now all of a sudden I got a brother. I love you, Arch. I'm sorry. I love you, bro. But yeah, so I have a brother that's 10 years younger than me. It was a very interesting, like he was my child. Like I was 10 when he was a baby, but by the time he was like old enough to like do stuff like 3, 4, I was a teenager. Of course, being the big sister, I had to take him everywhere. RJ, I know you're probably laughing because you probably thinking about Eastland when you told that boy I was 15 when I said I was 18. That was not funny. I was trying to mac back in the 90s, okay? But yeah, so I kind of was like a second mom to him. And for years, even while my brother was going through college and all of that, like my mom and dad would call me like, "Can you talk to your brother?" I would be like, "What? Like y'all are his parents." He only listens to you. That's because I used to whoop him. Huh? Sorry, y'all. I'm hyped up. But I love my brother to pieces. It's just me and him. ride or die for life. But it was just interesting growing up with somebody 10 years younger because, like I said, I felt like I had a kid early. So it was altogether fun, right, Arch? Yes. Next one, I wanted to let you guys know I sing. So literally, if you grow up in the black church and you're a child, I'm talking about from like the 70s to like the early 2000s, you did everything. Like legit, you did everything. You ushered. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all ushered, y'all mimed, you were the praise dancers, you were the youth choir, you were the young adult choir. On Youth Sunday, you read the scripture and the announcements. I'm not exaggerating. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, hit me up in the comments and let me know. Okay, raise your hand if you know. So growing up, I was always in the choir. Actually, my grandmother, actually both of my grandmothers, because my mom and dad grew up in the same city here, and it's right outside of Pittsburgh. It's called Braddock. And my mom and dad, well, you guys probably know about Braddock, where like all the steel mills and stuff were back in the day. Yeah, that's where my mom and dad grew up. And so there was a little, little church there that both of my grandmothers actually used to attend, and both of them were in the choir. And then my godmother was also in the choir. My mom was in the choir. And then my aunt not only was in the choir, but she was also a minister. So literally, I had all of these very strong women in my life, just like belting for Jesus. I hate to put it that way, but that's basically what it was. Like all of these strong women in my life were like, we love them. Let's just sing for them. So I kind of, me and my cousins, to be honest, um, we kind of just picked it up because that's what we knew. And, you growing up, you kind of have an ear for it. And I guess I'll plug the next one. I used to play the piano from age 4 to age 13. I would love to pick it up again, but I say all of that to say to tie those two together. When you sing, you have to have an ear because you have to hear your note. You got to be on pitch, tone, whatever's needed, by the director or the leader of, the singing aggregation. But I think what helped me growing up singing was playing the piano. When I was 4 years old, my cousin at the time, my aunt's son, was going to piano lessons. And he is, I want to say, like 9 years older than me, 8 or 9 years, if I'm not wrong. It may even be 10, but it's between 8 and 10. But he was going to piano lessons. And one day I went and I was 4. And he had played something, I was listening, playing with the dogs because his piano teacher had dogs. And it was just a really cool thing. I was like, oh, so fun. All right. So then after I think everything was done, I walked like, my aunt and my mom were there. They were talking to the piano teacher, just making small talk. And I think I went up to the piano and started playing exactly what he played, just by ear. And they were like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? So, I mean, from there, I started piano lessons. And my mom was like, do you like this? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So, from the age of 4 to the age of 13, I played the piano. Unfortunately, my mom gave me the choice. You know how much money I could be making right now? Like, I started playing piano at 4, like legit 4, doing recitals and everything. But my mom gave me a choice. She said, do you want to play sports or play the piano? Now, who's going to pick the piano over basketball? Who's going to do that? I did not, which is why I stopped playing at 13. But anyway, those two kind of go hand in hand, and they really helped me growing up. Like, it really helped me develop my personality. And then, as well, being in a choir and being with other people your age, being able to go to rehearsals, it was just fun. It was a really fun time. And even now, I still sing now at my church. I'm a part of the worship team. I'm a part of a community choir as well. That we travel and we've been on some shows. And anyway, so I sing. And here's a big one, guys. Here's a really, really big one. And we're almost to a close. I honestly believe, and people who know me will probably like crack up at this, but people who know me will be like, "Oh, girl, yes, you're right." I honestly believe I am an extroverted introvert. I'm gonna let that sink in real quick. or they call them ambiverts. I read this online. I don't know. But here's the thing, for as much talking as I do, you've heard me say in previous episodes that I'm chatty Cathy, and I am. There are certain instances and situations where I can talk your ear off, contingent upon who you are, where I am, and what we're talking about. If we're talking about electronics, if we're talking about, the newest gadgets, I'm down. If we're talking about coffee or popcorn, I'm all the way down. Certain other things as well. But there are just certain times people are like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I just don't feel like talking." And what I had to realize is that's okay, because here's the thing, when people get to know you, they expect you to be that same you every single time. And for a long time, and of course, growing up as a teenager, you're like, "Oh, yes, I got to keep up." No, 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 no. I'm quite comfortable where I am now. I'm quite comfortable. Um, but I looked up this whole article, so I'm just going to read over a few of these things. That what an extroverted introvert is, and I think I fit the bill, guys. Hit me up in the comments, hashtag TJ Podcast. Let me know if you think this matches me, right? So your energy level is closely tied to your environment. You find people both to be intriguing and exhausting. If this is not me, I have this conversation with my close friends all the time. Like, I'm over it. I want to go. I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to do anything. Certain people and interactions drain you while others recharge you. I think that goes without saying. You can be charming, but also deeply introspective and reflective. Let's say you need time to warm up in social situations. Um, it actually takes less energy to say what's on your mind than to make small talk. So, those were just a few things. Those were just a few things, like I said. And I found that interesting because growing up, I felt like an anomaly. And not to get deep or anything like that, but I often felt like I had to put on this extroverted persona, but then there were times where I just didn't want to be bothered with people. And I'm talking about, I can remember this feeling going back as early as like middle school or high school. Like I've always been the person to make people laugh. And some of this makes sense, but I just always felt like I had to be the class clown, or I always had to make people laugh. And sometimes it's amazing. I love those times. Like my choir had, a Christmas concert this week. And like it felt amazing. Like the energy was great in the room. Like, there were, if I had to say, in the mass choir that I sing in at church, there were probably maybe 40 or 50 people. We were downstairs just mingling, talking, waiting till it was our time to go up and sing. And it was great. The energy was live. I was live. You know what I'm saying? And I was just going to the little pockets of people talking, making sure everybody was okay. It felt amazing to go around and I'm cool with everybody. Like it's not a big deal. Talking to everybody. "Hey girl, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." "All right, wonderful." Laughing, joking, feeling great in the moment. If you would have caught me yesterday, it would have been a whole different ball game. I'm just being honest. So it's been an anomaly, but here's the other thing. I think we all have some of that introvert extrovert balance. We're just all on different ends of the spectrum, but you got to know what's good for you, right? I'm not trying to drop no nuggets, but I just wanted to let you know. All right. Next to last thing I wanted to let you guys know is my favorite music. So I am a huge music head. Like I love so many different types of music. Like I said, I've been singing since I was younger. Gospel, of course, in church, but I can remember the very first time I got my first record player. It was burgundy or red, and it lifted up on top, and it had the turner and all of that, and it had all the presets and everything on the front. I had to have been maybe like 12, 11 or 12, and it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I might have even been younger than that. I might have been even like 9 or 10. But then a couple years later, I got a whole like shelf stereo system. I was like, "What?" It had two tape decks, which you could record from. Hello, Quiet Storm on Whammo, if you know what I'm talking about. Two tape decks. It had a record player on top, but then it also had a CD player. My very first CD was Janet Jackson's Janet album, where it's, she's sitting on front and someone has their hands on her boobs. Like, you couldn't have told me anything. Like, you couldn't have told me anything. So, I've always had a love for music, bought cassette tapes, TLC, and third, not third base, Ace of Base, and Nine Inch Nails, Tupac, Biggie, just anything. And I've loved music forever. Like, literally, I'm a music head. So today, my faves, if I had to, like, I still love everything. The only thing I don't like is country, y'all. I'm sorry. If you love country, I apologize. I haven't heard any newer country. I've heard that, country's making a comeback. All right, like with the newer generation, but old school country, like growing up 80s and 90s, everybody's sad, somebody's dying, somebody got a disease, the dog got pushed off the cliff. I can't do it. I need joy at the end of the day. Okay. But everything except country, I think. Maybe if you send me some stuff, I might like it. But right now, I'm really digging on jazz. Or nothing. I mean, here's the thing. I like almost everything, but what I choose to listen to is like Robert Glasper, Corey Henry. If we think about like alternative or like new, like indie ish, Moonchild, Alan Stone, Jordan Rakei, I think that's how you say his last name. Just tons of people that are on the scene but not really on the scene, but are so passionate about their work. Like, I remember years and years and years ago, I was listening to Tiana Taylor when she was just on Dat Piff. Now, if you know what Dat Piff is, you're a real music head, okay? But I remember Tiana Taylor was just putting out records, and it was on Dat Piff, which is a completely free platform where you can download your music to get known. This had to have been like 2010, maybe 2011, 11 or 12, before anybody knew who Tiana Taylor was, before she was married, to the basketball player, before she had Junie. Nobody knew who she was, but I was rocking her in my car all the time. Then this baby hit the scene. I'm like, I got good taste. I know. And there's a couple people I've done that with, like Liliana Lahavas, who's from the UK. She's flipping amazing. Was listening to her back then as well. She was on Dat Piff. But I love all types of genres of music. I say all of that to say I love music. And if you know of any, new up and coming artists or people who are, unsigned, let me know. I love new music. Again, it runs the gamut, not just gospel, but almost anything except country. And then lastly, guys, I wanted to let you know, at heart, I am a world traveler. Now, I mean, we could probably all say that, don't get me wrong, but I have this obsession with London. Never been. I've met a couple people, spoken to them or what have you. But I can remember back in the day, I had to have been maybe like 5 or 6, and I used to watch the BBC channel. Listen, I have been watching Red Dwarf, Are You Being Served? Oh, what was the name of that other show? Are You Being Served? Red Dwarf. I can't think of the other one right now, but there were 3 specific shows I used to watch on the BBC channel, and my obsession for London has not changed. Now, what has happened now that I'm completely exposed to the entire world, I want to go everywhere. Like just everywhere. Because here's the thing, I don't want to just know my culture. I want to know everybody else's culture. So I've kind of been fascinated, specifically since after breast cancer, with just wanting to travel everywhere, like legit everywhere. Now, you need money to do that, right? So, I'm working on a couple trips. I mean, every year I go somewhere. Um, but, I really want to step it up and just be like, for a whole month, I'm going to India. How amazing would that be, right? I would just love to be like able to remotely work. Like, oh, Yolanda, where are you now? Oh, I'm in Bali, writing blog posts and recording podcasts with the camels walking behind me. I would love it. Every part of Africa, I want to see every part. Like, let's walk it all. Traveling is a big part of my heart and my desire. And, it's something I definitely strive for. So, there you have it, guys. That's it. I had no plans or intentions of this podcast being this long. I thought it was going to be like 20 minutes. I'm sorry. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Um, like I said, I at least wanted to make this podcast because, it's great to start something new. When I started this whole podcast journey a couple months ago, I know what I wanted to accomplish, or at least what road I wanted to go down. But every day is a winding road. Isn't that a song? Oh, I love that song. I won't sing it though. But I at least wanted to let you guys know who don't know me and may be new to the podcast, know a little bit about me. Because at the end of the day, I'm not just breast cancer. And like I said in one of my previous episodes, everything we're going to talk about is not cancer, but I can only speak from a fresh survivor's perspective. But there's so much to me that I want to accomplish, so much that I want to do, and I want to let you guys in on the journey. Hence, this exceptional journey. So, again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Yeah, catch me on the next one, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.